Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something really fascinating. How football completely transformed from a chaotic, brute force physical contest into the incredibly sophisticated tactical chess match we see today. If you've ever watched a modern, high-speed, possession-based game and thought, wow, how did the sport get to this level of pure precision? Well, you are definitely in the right place.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. How exactly did the beautiful game shed its, let's be honest, kind of ugly, chaotic past to become a blank canvas for tactical geniuses? How on earth did we get from players just aimlessly thumping the ball downfield to the meticulously synchronized movements of modern European titans? When you map out the tactical shift we're exploring today, it perfectly illustrates the death of simply launching the ball into the mixer and the birth of actual calculated strategy. It's like the pitch went from being a muddy battlefield to a literal drawing board. All right, Section 1, the Route 1 era. Let's get it in the mixer. Okay, so back in the dark ages of English football in the 1980s, tactical thinking was dominated by this concept called POMO. That stands for the position of maximum opportunity. And honestly, the entire strategy was ridiculously simple. Just launch the ball inside the box, level with the far post as often as humanly possible. It created these totally predictable teams and, frankly, brain-dead, one-dimensional players whose only job was to bypass the midfield entirely. Just get the ball downfield and capitalize on the absolute chaos that followed. To really understand how big of a deal the 1992 backpass law was, we have to look at the context. Before 1992, players could frustratingly waste time by just passing the ball all the way back to their goalkeeper, who would simply pick it up. I mean, in 1987, Graham Souness literally hit a 70-yard backward pass to his keeper just to kill the clock in a European Cup tie. Can you imagine? By the time the 1990 World Cup rolled around, the play style was so dreadfully negative that FIFA had no choice but to act. The 1992 backpass law ended up being the most effective rule change to improve the sport's spectacle since they tweaked the offside law way back in 1925.
Moving on to Section 2, the backpass chaos. Pure panic in the penalty box.
So picture this. Goalkeepers wake up to a brand new reality where they are totally prohibited from using their hands if a teammate deliberately kicks the ball to them. Just like that, the tedious, time-wasting tactic of endlessly rolling the ball to defenders and picking it back up was illegal, and the game sped up instantly. No more built-in breaks in play while the keeper just stood there holding the ball.
The immediate fallout from this? Absolute comedy. Heavy-footed traditional defenders were terrified. When in doubt, they just hacked the ball into row Z out of pure fear. Leeds United, who had literally just won the championship, plummeted to 17th place because their entire Route 1 long ball game was destroyed overnight. You had legendary defenders like Stuart Pearce under-hitting panicked passes that gifted absolute minnows like San Marino shock leads. And my personal favorite, Sheffield United's goalkeeper, Simon Tracy, panicked so badly he dribbled the ball out of play and then ended up rugby tackling a ball boy to stop a quick throw-in. He got a red card for that.
I absolutely love this quote from manager Dave Bassett. It perfectly captures the frustration of the era. He said his bewildered goalkeeper had, quote, the brains of a rocking horse. Just imagine being a manager on the sidelines, watching your players completely freeze up because suddenly they actually have to use their feet in a newly stretched, incredibly fast-paced game.
This brings us to Section 3, the goalkeeper revolution. Going from shot stoppers to actual playmakers.
Get a load of this statistic. On the opening weekend of the Premier League in 1992, out of 242 starting players, there were only 11 foreign players. But get this, 4 of them were goalkeepers. Why? Well, English goalkeepers had spent the last 20 years learning exactly one skill, how to catch. Foreign keepers, on the other hand, were already way more proactive. They commanded their box, and most importantly, they actually knew how to distribute the ball with their feet. The ultimate example of this massive evolution is Peter Schmeichel. When you contrast him with the traditional keeper who just stayed glued to his line and punted it long, Schmeichel was a genuine revolutionary. He insisted on joining the outfield passing drills. He drew on his background in handball to literally invent the star jump save. He completely stunned opponents by charging into the box for late corners, and he launched these lethal, lightning-fast counterattacks with massive overarm throws. He proved to the world that goalkeepers weren't just the last line of defense, they were the first line of attack.
All right, Section 4, the Cantona effect, redefining the attacker.
Now, you've probably heard this famous and honestly incredibly bizarre quote. But Eric Cantona wasn't just some quirky French philosopher dropping poetic riddles at press conferences.
The man was a footballing genius. His guile, his creativity, and his utter unpredictability fundamentally disrupted the rigid dogmas of English football. This represents a massive tactical paradigm shift. Instead of playing as your traditional, burly English target man just waiting up front for long balls, Cantona operated as a true number 10. He dropped deep into these newly created pockets of space between the opposition's midfield and defense. Traditional defenders were baffled. They didn't know whether to follow him and leave a massive gap behind them or stay back and let him turn with the ball. He proved that a technically gifted roaming playmaker could absolutely dismantle the old English systems. To see exactly how all these new pieces click together, we can break down this actual 12-second counterattack against Norwich in 1993. Step 1. Schmeichel uses his modern goalkeeping vision to hurl a massive 40-yard throw. Step 2. Sharp quickly flicks it to Cantona. Step 3. Cantona, operating perfectly in that pocket of space, pauses just long enough to let the runners advance, then slips an impossibly perfect through ball. Step 4. Ryan Giggs rounds the keeper and scores. From their own penalty box to a goal in 12 seconds, using just 8 touches. This is the ultimate proof of how a lethal, modern system works. So, what does this all mean for us today? Let's connect the dots. How did this technical awakening in the 90s directly birth the hyper-tactical, intricate European matchups we tune in for now? What exactly is the legacy of banishing the long ball?
Section 5. Modern Tactical Mastery and its Legacy in Europe.
Let's look at Lucescu's Shakhtar squad. They are the ultimate evolution of this technical, space-exploiting game. We aren't talking about kicking it upfield and hoping for the best anymore. This was a meticulously assembled 12-year project. They utilize a 4-2-3-1 formation built entirely around synchronized movements, supreme technical confidence, and having lethal wingers operating right behind the center forward. They thrive in those exact same spaces Eric Cantona pioneered all those years ago. A system this organized would have been literally unimaginable in the English First Division of the 1980s.
And this continuous evolution into sophisticated strategy is perfectly highlighted when looking at a team like Inter Milan under Antonio Conte, who showcased the aggressive high press. Instead of defenders retreating and blindly kicking the ball into row Z out of fear, modern defending is all about coordinated high-up-the-pitch pressure. The goal is to suffocate the opponent's ability to develop those complex attacks we just talked about. It's a game of high-speed strategic reactions.
When you look back, the contrast is absolutely staggering. The beautiful, high-speed chess matches played by top managers today only exist because that primitive, long ball era was forcibly shattered. It took one single desperate rule change in 1992 and a handful of foreign visionaries with different ideas to break the mold and banish the ghost of Route 1 football forever.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We've seen how drastically the game can change when it's forced to adapt. So, as tactics continue to evolve at this breakneck pace, what invisible barrier in today's highly structured game is just waiting to be shattered next? What rule change or what new visionary player will come along to completely upend the beautiful game all over again? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the pitch.